Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this week's Hangout on Air. I'm Whitney, and I'm joined by my colleague Katie. We're over here at Google headquarters in Mountain View, California. And today we're really excited to talk to you about getting back to basics with display campaigns. This is going to be a great place to start thinking about jumping into display if you're an advertiser who hasn't used it before, and also a really great opportunity to kind of refresh on some basics and double check the campaigns that you may have going if you're somebody who's already familiar with the display network. If you're joining us live on the Google Plus page, there's actually going to be an option to write questions to the right of us. Feel free to go ahead and throw anything that may come up during the course of this Hangout on there. We'll try to get to it at the end. And also feel free to add anything in comments below. We'll make sure that we answer everything that you guys throw on there. So let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to kind of break down the basics of what a display network campaign looks like within the AdWords interface.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. We are talking about a display campaign that we already have set up today. We are looking at a business, Jane's Shoe Store, based in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So they are a brick and mortar shoe store, and then they also have an online business. So they sell shoes online. What we're going to look at today are the different ways that you can target an audience on display with, different what people are looking for. So different types of audiences. Are they coming to your store? Are they in Pennsylvania? Or are they online shopping? And you can target both of those audiences on display. So a display campaign, it's pretty amazing. If you haven't used it before, you can target over, a couple million websites on our display network, mobile apps, blogs, people who have opted into showing AdWords ads. So you can reach a really large audience, which is pretty amazing. So what we're going to talk about next are kind of the different ways that you can set up a display campaign. We're going to take a look at the interface, and we'll show you what it looks like. So a display campaign, it looks very similar to a search network campaign. You set a lot of the same settings, and you can choose kind of where your ad is showing. So you can select different targeting methods, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Cool. We're going to start by going ahead and actually checking out the campaign settings tab within this. So if you go ahead and pull this up, you'll see that this campaign is already on all features. If you have a display network only campaign that's set to standard, you're going to want to go ahead and actually make it all features. This is something that I always recommend to all advertisers. It just opens up all of your options, give you some more ways to customize your campaign, things like ad scheduling, stuff like that. One really important thing that I want to draw your attention to is the display network tab. This is something that you'll see in a campaign that's opted into the display network. And this is actually really crucial for editing your targeting for these ads. This is where you can go in, you can change around what targeting you're doing, add in more options, and also check out any kind of data points like clicks and impressions based on your different targeting metrics. So let's say you want to see how you perform on a certain website, stuff like that. The display network tab is a really good place to start out. Just like with a search campaign, you have a lot of bidding options with display. So if we kind of hop back into the campaign settings tab, you're going to check these out. The display network is so large, like Katie was saying. I mean, millions of sites, and it's growing every day. So I tend to recommend starting out with automatic bidding. We're going to go ahead and just make sure that we have automatic bidding turned on in this account. This is going to allow the system to set your bids for you within your budget. This is really great, especially for a new campaign or when you're just starting out on the display network, if you're not sure how much it's going to cost to get on a certain website or to show to a certain group of people. This is really great because the system's going to use the information it has, really optimize your ads for you within that budget, and get them showing the best they can. And you can always go back in, and once you have more data, more information about what's working well for you, change it back to a manual bidding or even one of our flexible bid strategies like a conversion optimizer, something based around your advertising goals. You're also going to be able to set your budget on the settings tab, and this is something that I've had a lot of discussions about with advertisers. What should I be putting on search versus on display? It's really about your advertising goals. If you're really all about brand awareness, if you're really trying to build awareness of your business and have a branding campaign, display is going to be the way to go. And I definitely recommend shifting some more of your budget over to a display campaign. But this is something that can always change and can be, as fluid as what you need your advertising to accomplish. But just know that this is going to be on the settings tab. And of course, as with all campaigns, if you make your budget bigger, the system has more opportunities to show your ad.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we have some of those campaign settings set in the account, we're going to go over to the display tab and talk a little bit about your targeting. So I'll explain some of the targeting methods before we jump in there. You have a couple of different options with display. You can choose display keywords, specific placements, interests, and topics. So I'll explain a little bit about what those are, because I know it's a lot different than search. With display keywords, you are choosing specific keywords that the system will then use to choose specific placements, even looking at specific web pages within a website that are related to that keyword. It can also even include a person's recent search history and choosing different websites that you could show on. So it is a pretty broad target. It can be a good option if you are, have a business that is like selling shoes. There are a lot of different things that people can search for, and there are a lot of different websites that they can be viewing that might be a relevant page for you to show on. So again, display keywords are a little bit more of a broad targeting method for the display network. We're also going to talk a little bit about placements, where you choose specific websites to show on, and then interests and topics, similar to kind of how they sound. You can choose interests that you want to show on. So if you want to show to people who are interested in, travel, you could choose that as an interest and show to those people. And then topics, a similar thing. So let's go ahead and jump into the account again, and I'll show you how we've structured our ad groups and how you can choose some of these targeting methods. So similar to a search campaign, you want to break out your ad groups by services or products that you sell or provide. So you want to keep it very specific, kind of in different categories. And so what you'll see here is that we have a couple of different ad groups. What we've done for the shoe store is that you can have one for winter boots. You can have one for sports shoes, tennis shoes. You could have another one for maybe fashion boots or high heels or whatever different categories that you have within your business. That's how you want to break out your ad groups. Then what you would do is create an ad that is very specific to that topic, to that product or service, and then also gear your display targeting towards that as well. So for example, what we've done for the keyword winter boots, we'll go ahead and jump into that ad group. And we have a couple of different keywords chosen for this that are, very related: winter boots, snow boots, cold weather boots, whatever the system might pick up as being relevant to those are the placements that we want to show on. Those are the web pages we want to show on. And then we've created a text ad that is very similar to that as well. You could do a generic ad that is more just like Jane's Shoes. This is our shoe store. But what we really want to do is make this more specific, because we have those very specific keyword targets. So, you could do like winter boots, Jane's shoe store. You could still include your brand name, something that would catch their eye, like buy today. If you're going to target just Pennsylvania, you could even say like, come into our store to see the selection today, or something like that. So this is just an example of one of the ad groups that we've set up for our keyword targeting. And then as you can see, you could break it out into, targeting placements with a different ad group or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually what we're going to do next. So one thing that we tend to recommend is checking out different targeting within different ad groups, playing around with it that way. So let's go in and actually create a new ad group together. And we're going to focus this one on placements. So we're going in, creating a new ad group. Let's just call this, placement, to make it something easy there. And we're going to select to use a different targeting method, because we're going to want to specifically do placements here. So placements are where you actually tell the system what websites you want your ads to show on. It's really great if you know, hey, there's a few things, like a few places where I know my potential customers are going to be looking. I want to find them there. Since we're talking about a shoe store, we're going to want to probably go ahead and target places that are showing ads or talking about kind of fashion or style. If you know some websites, you can manually add them here by adding multiple placements at once. But in this instance, we're just going to go ahead and do a search for the word style and see if the system has any good ideas for us. I'm looking at this. Style.com seems like a really great place to start. So let's go ahead and add that placement. You can play around with this and add a whole bunch here. And we're going to go ahead and save this. Cool. And just like with any other campaign, we can go ahead and throw in an ad here. We'll talk a little bit more about ads in the display network in a second. So, we're not going to touch this. We can actually go ahead and probably close out this ad group and pop back into the keyword one that we had going, because I want to make sure to show you guys how to exclude certain types of sites or keywords, things like that on the display network. Just like with a search network where you have negative keywords, you have the option to not show your ads on certain websites or types of sites on the display network. And going into plus targeting, we can see all of these here. You can do exclusions on a campaign or an ad group level. In this instance, we'll probably want to do campaign because all of our ads are related to the same thing. We'll probably want to make sure that they don't show on the same types of sites. And we're going to do site category options here. If you know of a specific website that you don't want to show it on, you can put it in here. Maybe we'll do, the NewYorkTimes.com. Let's say we just don't really want to show New York because we're from Pennsylvania. And you can go ahead and add that. And then if you go and look back in the ad campaign exclusions menu, you'll see there's a really cool option for site category exclusions. And this is where you can tell us, hey, you know what, I don't want my ads to show on sites that has more mature content, or I don't want to show on social networks, or I don't want to show on anything related to violence. So in this instance, we're going to disable crime, and let's also go ahead and disable the social networks. Jane's Shoe Store already has a lot of stuff going on Facebook, don't really want to show ads on, other types of social media. And go ahead and press save on this. And this is just a really great way to kind of preserve your budget and make sure that these ads are showing the way that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So one other thing that we're going to talk about now that we've kind of set our targeting are the display ads that you can show. So as you've seen here, we've just created a couple of text ads. What's really important though is that you take advantage of the image ads that you can show on the display network because you can't show those on search. And actually a lot of different placements that you might show on the display network only want to show image ads. They look a little better and it just catches people's eye a little better than text ads do on the display network. So it's good to have a combination of both, but what we're going to talk about are the ways that you can create an image ad and take advantage of that on the display network. So I'll show you where we can do this in the account. Let's go ahead and actually jump back in there and I'll show you where you can add multiple ads to an ad group. I usually suggest having, you can have as many ads as you want. I would say on the display network, you would ideally want maybe around 5 or so, a text ad, and then a couple of different sizes of image ads, because there are different, different placements that can only show certain sizes of images. So if you click on the red plus add button in this ad group, you can choose to create a new image ad. So let's go ahead and select that, and I'll just show you what this looks like. So what's really, really great, and I love this tool that we have, you can have the system scan your website, pull images from your website, and actually create image ads for you. So if you don't have a team that can create an image ad for you, if you don't, want to take the time to do that and actually build one yourself, we have a tool that can help you do that. So if that's the case, you can create an ad that way. Or if you do already have some image ads created, maybe you're running image ads on another platform as well, you can just upload them here. As I mentioned, you do want to make sure that you have different sizes of image ads. You don't need to include all of them. There are a lot of different options, but maybe have like a standard banner size ad and then a couple of other regular ads. So as you can see here, what we've just done is we did a scan of the website. It pulled in images for us, and it's actually giving us different layout options for our ads. You can choose one and even customize it. You could change some of the buttons that are included, change the little text at the bottom that we put in there. So you can really customize the images that we pull in. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And just like we showed you in the beginning, there's a lot of ways that you can play around with targeting your display campaign. And we touched on some really straightforward ones, keywords and placements, but we're definitely going to also want to mention a couple of the others. So if we pop back into that display network tab, you'll see right below that we list out actually all of the options available to you in that nice little row of gray buttons there. And so a couple more advanced ones would be like demographics, for instance, if you know that there's a certain age range or gender that you want these ads to show to. A really great way to start kind of narrowing it down if you have a more specific industry or kind of advertising need. And a really awesome targeting option for the slightly more advanced advertiser is actually remarketing. Remarketing allows you to capture people who have visited your website before. So this means I go to Jane's Shoe Store website and then I actually get put on a list and I can get shown ads specifically based on the fact that I've already visited the site before. You're probably familiar with this if you feel like you've been followed around by ads on the web. That's remarketing. It's really effective, especially for something e-commerce related or a longer tail purchase, a kind of big ticket item where somebody might be doing a lot of research. you're going to want to go ahead and remarket to them, kind of keep your brand name top of mind, really fresh for them. So this is, more information can be found about remarketing in our help center, and we're always happy to help out with questions related to that. But it's definitely something to keep in mind that as you kind of get comfortable with the display network and are looking for more ways to expand opportunities there, remarketing is a great place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing that we want to mention, I know we've covered a lot for your display campaigns, but one more thing that you can do is add ad extensions. So similar to how you would add them for a search network campaign, you can add some for a display network campaign. They'll only show with text ads that are showing on the display network. For example, a location extension. Yeah, that's one that can show on the display network. So what you would do here is go into the ad extensions tab as we have, click the little view button and choose location extensions, and then you can add one to your account. If you don't already have a Google My Business account, or you don't have it linked with AdWords yet, that's going to be the first step. That's how we can pull in your business information. So look into Google My Business if you don't have one already. Those are the local listings that we will use for your location extension. You would create one, link it up with AdWords here, and then we'll automatically pull in your address for you and show it with your ads. So it's a pretty cool way to, especially if you're targeting a smaller area with your display network campaign, you want to make sure that people know where you are. So different options for targeting a really large audience. If you want to do a small audience as well, just show in Scranton, Pennsylvania, then you want to have a location extension with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think the display network is just such a powerful tool. It's a really great option for almost every advertiser out there. So thank you again for taking the time to be with us today, Katie. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for watching. Like I said before, feel free to add any questions you may have. We'll definitely make sure to get to them. And hopefully we'll see you next month for our next Hangout.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.